a paperclip. And this paperclip created itself. There was no designer, no creator for this. All the atoms and molecules came together into this shape for no reason. It was just purely an accident and a coincidence.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is another version of the classic watchmaker argument. Ray Comfort and Kirk Cameron will be very proud of you. Basically, what he's saying is that, well, for example, this camera was designed, it has a lens, everything works properly and in order, and therefore it's obvious that it had a designer. And he's using that logic to apply to the universe as well. Everything works in perfect order, and therefore it had to have been designed. First of all, the universe doesn't work in necessarily in perfect order. There's planets colliding all the time. There's many things that are going wrong with the universe. There's many things in the universe that could go better than it does. So that's the first thing. The universe isn't exactly a perfect working machine, unlike a camera. The second thing, the second problem with that argument is that there's no evidence of there being any sort of a divine designer. And not only that, even if there was a designer, in other words, a god, there's nothing to suggest that that is the god of your particular mythology.
Now, this video is for atheists, and I don't normally like to argue with atheists because imagine somebody comes to you and they say 1 + 1 = 3. You might ask them, how is that possible? And they might give you an explanation, which obviously you would reject, since we know that 1 + 1 = 2. But how long would you spend arguing with that person before giving up?
It's funny that you say that it's hard to explain things to atheists. Because, if your Quran were to say that 1 + 1 = 3, I can almost guarantee you that you would believe it. Despite all the evidence that we could show you, you would still believe that 1 + 1 = 3. Why? Because it says so in your Quran. So I find that kind of insulting and funny that you would say that, atheists don't base what they believe on evidence. Because that is the core of what atheism is about. It is that we only accept things, we only believe things solely based on evidence, not the other way around.
That is the same thing with talking to atheists. Another reason is because they don't make decisions based on logic or reason. They make decisions based on their emotions. They want to decide what to believe and then filter out reality based on that decision.
Atheists base their beliefs on emotion? Are you kidding me? Are you really seriously making that statement? Religion is based on emotion. Islam in particular is amongst the most emotionally based religions I've ever seen. I remember when I was a Muslim, I couldn't even talk about the Prophet, the supposed good deeds that he did, without getting a tear to my eye. That's all religion is based on, is in fact appeals to emotion and circular arguments. If you were to take those two out, you wouldn't have a religion with any sort of significant number of followers whatsoever.
You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a question for you. In Surah 52, Ayah 35, He asks, were they created of nothing, or were they themselves the creators? You see, something has to create something. Nothing creates nothing. If you have nothing, what can it create? What can nothing do? Nothing can do nothing. Something has to do something. And that's something we believe is Allah, the Creator.
Okay, then that begs the question, who created Allah? Well, your religion actually has an answer for this. If we read volume 4, number 496, Bukhari Hadith, Allah's apostle said, Satan comes to one of you and says, who created so-and-so? Till he says, who's created your Lord? So when he inspires such a question, one should seek refuge with Allah and give up such thoughts. So basically, critical thinking leads to disbelief and is therefore the work of Satan, according to your religion.
So basically, the atheist has a choice. Since we know nothing does nothing, and that something has to do something, then they have a choice. Either God has always existed, or the universe has always existed. That is the choice.
That's a fallacious argument. Basically, what you're saying is that there's only two possibilities. That's actually a false dilemma-logical fallacy, because there's an infinite number of possibilities. The fact is, we just don't know. And just because we just don't know, that doesn't mean that God did it. That's a God of the gaps, which I've talked about in many of my videos before. And on top of that, there's no evidence at all, no empirical evidence that God did it.
Imagine I told you that an archaeologist uncovered a city that had been buried for thousands of years. Would it be logical to assume that that city had always existed? Or that it came into existence just because of rocks falling off of hills and molecules changing into other forms to create this city? Or would you think that somebody built the city?
So basically, your argument is that the universe is too complex to have not been designed by a God. So, what's your proof for that? Show your evidence. Show me evidence that says that the universe is too complex to have not been designed by a God. Show your work.
In Islam, we do not have blind faith. We are not like other religions where we have blind faith. We just believe just because. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has challenged humanity until the Day of Judgment to produce a single surah like that of the Quran. But they will never be able to do it.